All right, so let's move on. Top 5 things to watch next week, Kev. And so, what we wanted to do was start off with Tesla. I asked you, like we were talking about in our big debate as to what our top 5 should be. The one thing I was like, didn't we beat this to death already? Like we had Spiegel come on and we were bearish, but it was a pretty significant technical breakdown, wasn't it?
For sure, and a lot of people are hoping that we can get Mark back. I would love to get Mark back and see if he thinks that this is the start of the end. Um, I'm worried, and I don't usually ascribe much validity to the idea that as it goes down, you should sell more. But given the extended nature of Musk and his holdings with those margin calls, I'm worried. I actually
Yeah.
think that this could be a situation where lower prices feed on itself.
Yeah,
And
it's it if it and certainly to be like I loved the little Braveheart clip we put together to at that the 250 line where they were trying to hold off the cavalry charge of bears coming at them, and I think that the cavalry broke through the defensive line here. I mean, you've always been the one that said there's no such thing as a triple bottom, even though I'm the technician, and this definitely proves that you're right.
yeah, there's
There
no
is
such
no
thing as a triple bottom, and I think that William Wallace is going to find out the hard way that the English won that battle, right? Like, didn't good old Mel Gibson he got smoked in the end.
Yeah, in the end. And so we have a scenario here where this is broken. Now, what I always hate to do is to prod and encourage people to chase a trade. I mean, let's be realistic. This stock dropped in a month from 300 down to 235. It's already a pretty significant move this is no longer getting in at the second inning, right? But um, this is a huge technical level, and every stock that has ever had one of those nasty wipeouts to downside, it always begins like this. This is one of the most interesting things to watch next week. It has
Yeah.
to be.
So I don't care about the technicals as much. I care about that idea that Musk has levered himself up, and if that's the case, and he's going to find Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs or whoever he borrowed all that money
Getting a
from,
margin call.
margin call, it's not going to matter. This stock is going to be 150 before you can blink, and
And what if one of those big investors that have been holding the line throws in the towel?
yeah.
I mean, when the liquidity selling kicks in, there is no support.
Right.
So
And actually, you know what? I know we're running long, Patrick, but I have a full beer, so I'm going to talk a little still. Um, on the idea about and people that have been pumping or not pumping, I shouldn't say that word.
defending
Defending
holdings.
Tesla.
Hold,
One of the kind of most amazing guys is this Ross Gerber. And I know in our podcast with Mark Spiegel, he kind of questioned the idea about whether this guy was even real. And I saw the other day that he tweeted something out about the Beyond Meat new IPO. You know that new. There's some
yeah.
new IPO that everyone's all excited about, and he's getting. He was questioning whether it was frothy and a sign of the top. And I was just like, "Holy shit! I couldn't believe he actually did this." I'm gonna read this to you, okay?
Yeah.
Market a bit frothy. A fake meat company called Beyond Meat is trying to go public with an over $1 billion valuation, losing $30 million on $80 million in sales. Of course, a star-studded VC scam board. How is this even legal? And I'm like, holy shit, pot, this is kettle. And I've come to the conclusion, Mark asserted that he wasn't sure if he was real. I have a new theory, and I just hear me out on this. Ross Gerber might very well be an out of work LA actor that was hired as a hoax. And I'm pretty sure DB Cooper is behind all this.
Really?
Yeah, I'm convinced because if he keeps up with jokes like that, he's gonna ruin the scam. Because like, how is this even serious? This is the guy that is defending Tesla, and he's now worried about fake meat. Beyond Meat is having extended. It's
Bigger
beyond
problems. There's
yeah,
bigger problems.
and I just think he's got to tone it down. Otherwise, whoever's in charge of that account, he better tone down this stuff. Otherwise, it's going to become clear to everyone that Ross Gerber is not really real. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't believe he's real.
Well, you know what? You heard it from Kevin Muir first.
Yeah, and Ross, if you're listening, you're welcome to come on our show and tell us how real you are. I'd love to. I'm always willing to hear the other side of the story. You can come and try to show me that you are real and not just an out of work LA actor.
All right, so let's move on. Number 4, Kev. Trump did it again.
Yeah.
Trump.
He's fun.
Did
it's fun. Like you got to give him credit. Like it's fun. Trading with Trump.
It's fun trading with Trump. Is like wow. You know what though? Isn't it fascinating that so just to kind of work this whole thing, oil was here. Let me pull up the chart on oil. This is the best way to do it. Oil basically was on a run. It was a beautiful momentum push to the upside, breaking to higher highs. Everything is good. And then Trump comes out. There's an announcement that Trump got off the phone with OPEC and gas prices are coming down.
Yeah,
that's all Donald Trump has to say for 5% to the downside on oil.
Yeah. So I have a couple of things to say. Do you think he phoned up the switchboard at OPEC? Said, hey, listen, this is Donald Trump. You got to get these gas prices down. Like, really, like, what the hell does he mean? He phoned up OPEC and told them to get gas prices down. I'm calling bullshit on that. Next thing, Patrick, you kind of glossed over the fact that oil has run all this way, but you didn't really mention your kind of view about oil that whole way up.
Oh, I'm bearish.
Right. So now, I contend that we were kind of extended and that Trump is just giving an excuse to
buy the dip.
Well, not to buy the dip, but I think that it wouldn't take much for the market to come in. Like that was the reality. Right. Like we've gone a long way. It's pushed up a tremendous amount, and the fact that he wasn't able to make oil go up 5%, I don't think he would have been able to go down 5%. I don't think he would have been able to do that a month or two ago. The reason it worked so well today was because the market's heavy. Like the market's toppy. Like we're due for some correcting.
So what I want to just highlight is I want to bring up the noble animal that both that is a market huddle legend. What animal is that?
Dog. The prairie
dog.
Very
and
noble
so.
animal.
A very noble animal. And so I was looking at this level, and at the start of the week when oil made this breakout, I said to everyone, well, first of all, it was beyond me why oil would even go higher than this. But anyway, that's just me. I'm too bearish. But I said, wouldn't it be interesting if by the end of the week it prairie dogged and that this was a false start? And it ended up being back under 64 by the end of the week. And Donald Trump did it for me.
He
did it for me.
So people listen, there you go. That is why you have to subscribe to the Big Picture Trading, so you get this sort of, very insightful information like this. Anyways.
So
I agree with you that was prairie dog, and I'm not no longer as bullish as I was, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're back down to $58 in the next week.
Boom. Thank you. That's all. Yeah. Enough said. I'm not even gonna say anything after you just said that. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, all right. But listen, whoa, a big disclaimer on that. We agree. So for everybody else, go out and buy oil.
All right. So number 3. What the heck?
Where does Disney stop? Wow. Like it's just
what
unbelievable.
Right? Like now we've had this Netflix debate. and I'm not even going to bring it up anymore. But obviously, just Netflix is Netflix, whether it's bearish or not. But why was the big question that we brought it up is because Disney was coming out with its new
Streaming
online
service.
service,
Yeah.
streaming service, right? And what the heck has like someone lit a match under the fuse of this one, and this thing is launched like it's a growth stock,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, Disney has been a solid Dow component, blue chip holding. It's done its fair share throughout the bull market, but this is crazy.
Well, I saw
I mean,
Josh Brown actually.
we're
Sorry.
talking about a $250 billion market cap company. This is not some, 30, 40 billion market cap thing that's getting a growth multiple put into it. I mean, we're talking one of the big boys.
Yeah, I saw Josh Brown talk about how this was Josh Brown, the reform broker, how he said it was game changing and that he thought that everyone was going to be forced to, everyone with kids, that is, be forced to, subscribe to this Disney product. And
Forced.
yeah,
Forced.
well, not forced, but the reality is at $7 a month. He also said that it's almost at the point where you can't really. There's no excuse not to. It's affordable for almost everybody, and I
Right.
know that. What's interesting, though, more than the kind of the business case behind it, is that the market reaction to that. First of
Yeah.
all, why did we think this is a surprise? Like, they've been talking about this forever. Like, I remember going on a ski trip. We go on these cat skiing trips, and we get guys coming up from the States. And there was a Disney executive on our trip one time, and I think this was 4 or 5 years ago. He told me that they were working on this. Like, and like, the reality is that this should have been in the market, and it wasn't. And it might just be one of those cases again where there's so little guys, people doing fundamental research, that when there is a kind of change in the underlying fundamentals of a stock, it takes longer than you would expect, and it's to be priced in. And I
No,
think
you
it's
know
kind
what?
of I think
I
it's a
don't
fascinating.
stop with your fundamental stuff. Stop with it because you're absolutely this is FOMO at its thing. You have a scenario where the news came out, the stock gapped higher on every technical screening software out there. This becomes the hottest stock in the whole stock market.
So
Every
wait,
trader
Patrick, one
that is
second.
trying to
You
trade
think
the hot
you're
stuff is they're chasing this thing higher, dude.
you
This
think
is
they're
this is
buying it because it's broken out on a technical basis?
no, no, because this is where the hot money is, and everyone is chasing the fewer and fewer stocks. The market breadth is narrowing. There's fewer and fewer things that are rallying, and people keep kind of funneling into the few things that keep working. And whatever is hot, then people are buying the hot thing because they want action. They don't want to be stuck in some Schlumberger, stuck in some trade range. They want something that's moving right now, and they're all chasing performance, and Disney's giving it to them, and they're all chasing. This is pure market psychology. This is not about a shortage of fundamental analysis.
Okay, well, there you go. Patrick, tell me how you really feel, buddy.
All right,
Number two.
number two. Well, how
Okay.
can we not bring this up, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So,
is the dollar breakout for real? And it's interesting because we were mentioning it on Macro Voices as well because there's a number of prominent big boys that actually are trying to fade this dollar breakout. They're calling
Really?
a
Who?
bluff on it. I can't say it. I'm not going to say it because it's information I know from a paid subscription. I'm not going to give away their stuff, but
Ah.
there's some prominent people that are selling the dollar breakout, and they don't buy it. And I'm fascinated as to whether this is going to prairie dog, right? Like we just saw oil do it. And one thing that I was pointing out on this chart is that the way that this broke out, it looks like it's a real breakout technically, right? But the thing is that if you go back to this breakout over here on the dollar back in November, it broke to new highs at the time as well, and
Yeah.
it was faded.
Right.
right?
So,
And
Patrick, 1 second for all you guys out there that are now chasing it because it's broken out. Like you're not.
I'm bullish. I'm bullish.
No, not only that. I think you're missing something that you have to say to me. Did I not call it
You
3
did.
weeks ago? I said,
Yeah, but I've been
screw
bullish
all
dollar
this.
too.
I know, but I was like, screw all this, like waiting for it to break out. It's going higher, and now we're going higher.
No,
and
you
now,
got it right. No.
Yeah.
But this is
Okay, there we go.
now we're
Timestamp
confused.
that.
No, but we're confusing all of our listeners because we were both bullish the dollar and it went up, and so
Yeah.
now
But you're always bullish the dollar. It's kind of like your fundamental
Fair
core
enough.
thesis. Like you're always bullish the dollar.
Yeah, me and Brent Johnson have had too much.
You
of that
guys are
Kool-Aid.
like akin, like brothers from a distant mother. The reality is that now that we've broken out, there's a lot of people jumping in. It would not surprise me at all. This is my prediction. We get a move back down to into the range that makes everyone thinks that it's prairie dogging it, and then we head higher. Like
Sure.
That's a complicated prediction, but I just think that now everyone's gotten a little too excited about it. It's all the technicians are chasing it, and it's never that easy, or it's too rarely that easy, and it's gonna scare people by going back into the range, but that eventually we're still headed higher. That's my call.
You know what, your call actually unfortunately echoes mine, which is, you know what, I'm going to just reveal a little bit of a measured move, which is basically we were looking for this move to finish here, and it's going to throw back. And so it's, to me, this is actually a place where a pullback in the dollar is very natural, but I remain very bullish. And unfortunately, we're both in agreement. So everyone be warned.
There you
Prairie
go.
dog risk is a real.
Yeah.
So so by the way, you wanted to mention this. This about the dollar.
So I did think this was a fascinating chart, and thank you to macro risk analyst at VK Macromania. He pointed out all the targets from all the big banks for the euro dollar, which is a big component of the U.S. dollar index. And I was shocked that every one of those predictions, except for one, was higher. They all thought the euro was going to end up 120, 125, 121, 118, 124. So this is Wells Fargo, Commerce Bank, whatever, all these banks, all predicting higher euro. The only one that was negative was the China Construction Bank. Who knew they were in the euro forecasting business? But anyways, and they were only slightly bearish. So when I see all the big banks lining up bullish euro, I think they're going to be wrong. They're going to be
big picture trading targets down at 105. So I'm a little knock out of consensus.
Yeah. So I just think they're gonna. Yeah. The big picture trading target. Unfortunately, you don't get picked up by Bloomberg.
No, Bloomberg doesn't pick me up. No,
no, that's a shock, though. Actually, I'm surprised. About that. But I do think this is indicative of the opinion out there, and it represents consensus. And beware, because I suspect that it wouldn't surprise me at all if we eventually see par on the euro in the months to come.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you overshot me. You're overshooting me. I'm saying 105 and you go to parity. Wow. Yeah. Since when were you more bullish? You know what? Wait a second. Stop the press right here. We just made like a bet. Like I swear to God, a week or two ago, where you were talking about the dollar index stopping at 100 and I was saying it was going to 104. You do realize that if we go to parity, that we're going to see the $4 on the 104 on the dollar index, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be stake time for me. I'm rethinking my.
All right, okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that our listeners weren't like.
I'm hoping that
confused.
It's going to be the euro goes down to par. And like the yen's flying or Canada's flying or something to help me out. Like I'm just hoping to God that somehow I skate on side from that. But I think euro's headed lower.
All right, I agree with you. So number one, semiconductors. Yeah. Wow. Now this is something that I needed to talk about because they were the single hottest sector in the market. They were the leadership. Do you know what is another sector that was more leadership than semiconductors?
Yeah, there's not much. Like it was. They really flew off the December
The,
Christmas Eve bottom. Like, let's face it, right?
they, 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 they flew, but they cleared 52-week new highs with huge momentum. The percentage run here, let's from December to April, 50% rise, 50.
That's. Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's just batshit
50.
crazy, man. Like
That
that's
is
nuts.
batshit crazy, like a 50% run. And this is like legacy shit. This is the largest component is like Intel, right? This is not your big growth sector, but yet it's running like extraordinarily well. And then Intel Gucci'd it all, right?
Yeah, so
Like
they announced and they didn't do as well as everyone had
they
hoped.
were almost at $60 a week ago, and they were down to $52 on this gap lower. I mean, we're talking about a shot to the solar plex of the leadership group. I mean, I think that Intel would. I think is it something like 10 or 12% of the weighting in the SMH? I
Sounds
think
like you
it's up
know a
there.
lot more than me about that.
But it's a huge component,
Right.
right? And then you have like Taiwan Semiconductor and a number of these other ones that are in there. And Intel, if how is it that the leadership sector that's been the hottest sector can continue if Intel if its run has ended?
Well, so you're making a big assumption that the run has ended.
I'm making an assumption, but I'm asking. I'm just okay. Well, I'm looking at this. You make a pretty good argument that you believe that the dumb money may prevail over the hedge funds, and that this market can continue.
So
Just let me make my
One
point.
second.
Let me make my point.
Can I just wait? I'll let you make your point, but please take away dumb money and put in
Retail money.
money.
Retail money. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm sorry. I don't want to be
Yeah,
offensive.
you are.
So be retail money versus the money managers. Um, but a bull market tends to have its generals, the leadership, the sectors that lead. And semiconductors had the banner flag of the bull market, and they were the leadership. And to me, I feel that they've lost their role here. It's
Okay.
possible that
So,
this is done.
Patrick,
And so
I feel a bet coming on because I got something. SMH, pull up the chart. It's 115.18, right? So I'm going to give you next. Let's just make this a week. Next $10, higher or lower. You're obviously lower, right?
I don't know if I'm outright bearish as much as I believe that they've lost their leadership role. So stop with the bet. I'm not actually shorting SMH here. All I'm saying is I don't believe it's going higher. Like I don't think we're going to clear 52 guys. If that's your only bet, I don't know about $10 lower. All I'm saying is that in order for your bull market scenario to happen, there's got to be leadership. So let me ask you: is it going to be the social media? Is it going to be financials? Is it going to be the industrials? What's the leadership? Something's got to grab this
Well, I
bull
contend-
market.
Okay, I
Leadership
contend that,
flag.
that you're assuming it's over today in the semiconductors because Intel had
I
a
think
tough
so.
day.
I
and
think
I
so.
and I'm not as sure. You might be right, but I'm not as sure as you are that it's the end. And
But
it
I'm
wouldn't
not saying
surprise
that
me
they're
at
the-
all if that they continue to lead, even with
No,
Intel.
oh my
doing
God.
bad. Yeah.
No, my God. No. That's so you're saying, okay, so you're saying that, for instance, if we look at the month performance from here, from today, 1 month out, that in the top 5 performing sectors, that the SMH will be in there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good bet. I'll take that
Okay.
for sure.
All right. Let's write this down. So it is just for the record is April 26th. So we'll just do the close of at the end of May. So June 1st, right? Like we'll look for what the
Sure.
whatever episode
From
we're
now.
doing
From now.
from now, whatever the last episode of May is.
Yeah. Okay.
And is from today till then is the SMH one of the top 5 performing sectors?
Oh, you're done. That's awesome. Okay, sold.
All right, are we doing Duke or Duke? Or you
bought
want
from you.
to?
Well, we can't keep
Duke-
doing stakes. We got too many stakes going.
No.
So we'll
Let's just
do-
do Duke and Duke. Let's
do it-
this
Duke
is
and Duke.
this is
You're done.
pride. This
Yeah.
is about pride, right? So
Yeah,
we've
because
made the
I
bet.
just don't. You're assuming that Intel means it's the end of the run in the
I
semiconductors.
just don't think they're leadership anymore. I'm not
Well,
trying to be bearish on them. I
yeah,
just don't think I don't think that the performance is going to come from the semiconductors anymore.
that's what makes a market, bud.
Yeah. All right. So let's see how that plays out.